The holiday season is the second happiest season of the year, right behind tax season, of course. For real though, Christmas is my all-time favorite holiday. There's just something so magical about it. The decorations, the Christmas music, the Christmas tree, and of course, family time. Some of my greatest memories though were spent sitting by the Christmas tree, sipping some cocoa and watching my favorite Christmas specials on TV. I remember being young and every night leading up to Christmas, I would fall asleep laying on the ground next to the Christmas tree, watching various Christmas specials on repeat. Those were the days. Today, on our nostalgic trip down memory lane, we're looking at the top 5 most iconic Christmas episodes. I'd like to say that in this list, I'm focusing on shows that were established cartoons that just so happened to get a special Christmas episode. I'm not including any movies or cartoons that weren't an established show already. Sorry, Grinch and all of the other reindeer. Maybe your time will come next Christmas. As always, this list is my opinion, and your opinion will probably be different from mine, and that is fantastic. If that's the case, let me know in the comments down below what Christmas episodes that I missed. Also, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Drop a like if you enjoy this video, and make sure you subscribe. It's free to do, and it helps me out a ton. And with that out of the way, let's get right into it. Number 5. A Very Cat Dog Christmas. Cat Dog is a show with a very specific feel to it. It was witty, goofy, odd, and I loved every second of it. The animation style of Cat Dog is unlike anything else I've ever seen, and the contrast between cat and dog was refreshing. They're like a chocolate-covered pretzel, salty and sweet in just the perfect way that hits just right. There's so many fantastic episodes of Cat Dog, and the Christmas episode is definitely one of them. The episode begins with Cat Dog decorating for Christmas, and Dog especially embracing their treasured Christmas traditions. As per tradition, Dog puts his heartfelt gift under the tree for Cat. Meanwhile, Cat, being the douche that he is, rummages through his pockets and finds an old jelly bean to give Dog as a present. Then they race to the mall for their yearly tradition of seeing Santa. While talking to Santa, Dog tells him with the utmost of sincerity that he hopes Cat really likes his gift. Meanwhile, Cat, who thinks Christmas is all about material possessions, tells Santa that he hopes Dog gets him a shiny red sports car. As they're walking away from Santa, Rancid Rabbit walks up with his spoiled niece Rancine.
So, what do you want for Christmas, little girl?
Get real, you dime store phony! Uncle Rancid already bought me everything!
She acts like a total dick towards Santa and throws a massive fit because she wants Cat Dog for Christmas. Rancid offers to buy Cat Dog, but they decline. But when Dog tries to appeal to Cat about how they should enjoy their Christmas traditions and their friends, Cat ends up being his normal asshole self and saying that Christmas is all about the gifts and material items, which gives him the evil idea to sign up to be Rancine's pet in exchange for unlimited access to all of Rancid Rabbit's stuff.
You do like T-bones, don't you?
Ah, you kidding? T-Bone was my nickname at Fat Camp. Where do we sign?
But of course, all does not go according to plan when we find out that the Santa at the mall was the real Santa Claus. At first, he had hope when Dog showed him a little Christmas spirit, but after seeing cat dogs sell themselves in the name of material items, he decided that he's had enough of everyone being so selfish, and he decides to cancel Christmas.
What Cat Dog did was the final straw. Christmas is canceled forever!
Word gets out that Cat Dog is the reason why Christmas was canceled, and everyone is absolutely pissed at them. Meanwhile, Cat Dog enjoys life at Rancine's house for a short while, until they realize that they miss their old Christmas traditions. They try to convince Rancine to let them go home, but it doesn't exactly go as they had hoped.
A guy tried to Welsh on a deal with me once. I made a coffee table out of his shin bones.
Nice workmanship.
She locks Cat Dog in a cage and says they aren't going anywhere, which is probably for the better because there's an angry mob storming the streets of Nierburg looking for revenge on Cat Dog for getting Christmas canceled. Cat Dog ends up tricking Rancine and making an escape. They get all the way home to find that their tree is gone, their decorations are gone, and their Christmas punch is gone. Shortly after that, the angry mob shows up at their house, as well as Rancine and Rancid Rabbit, claiming that they're gonna pound Cat Dog for getting Christmas canceled. Just then, Cat realizes that this is all his fault, and he breaks out into hysterical crying, but Dog gets the idea to throw together a makeshift tree out of some random junk around the house and make a bowl of Christmas punch, which is just a bowl of dirty dishwater. But It's the thought that counts, of course. He finally makes Kat see the true joy of Christmas, as well as everybody in the angry mob, and they all embrace one another in a giant group hug. Having seen everyone experience a change of heart, Santa comes in to bring Christmas back. Kat apologizes for ruining Christmas, and Santa forgives him.
And if you pull another stunt like that, one phone call and I cancel Easter.
The episode ends with everyone celebrating Christmas together and singing a jolly Christmas carol, having finally learned the true joy of Christmas isn't just in the presents. Number 4, Ed, Edd, and Eddy, Jingle, Jingle, Jangle. There's a lot you can say about Ed, Edd, and Eddy. The show is straight up bizarre. It's hilarious, but it's definitely bizarre. One thing that it is very rarely, though, is sentimental. And Jingle Jingle Jangle is one of those rare episodes that gets sentimental. The episode begins with a look into Christmas traditions of a few of the kids in the cul-de-sac. Starting with Eddy, who's prowling around his house like a burglar looking for Christmas presents. He finds them in the attic and drops his flashlight that causes a reflection from a mirror to beam a star-looking light in the sky. We then see the Kanker sisters enjoying Christmas crackers and paper crowns. They see the star-like light in the sky made by Eddy's flashlight, and almost as if they were 3 wise men of biblical tales, they go following the star. Next we see Big Ed, who's dragging the chimney through his house to his room and just absolutely destroying his house in the process. While Ed is hanging up stockings, Double D comes knocking on his window to visit and deliver Ed a Christmas poinsettia. All of a sudden, Eddy comes in super pissed off because all of his presents are clothes that his parents bought him. During this scene, we see 2 important things happen. First, Ed finds a spare Christmas light bulb and he secretly sticks it in Eddy's pocket. Second, we see Eddy literally stomping on Double D's face and saying that he's going to be putting himself up for adoption. Ed and Double D are appalled by Eddy's selfishness as he leaves to find a new family to basically steal Christmas presents from. Eddy starts off with Johnny, whose family tradition is to bring winter inside every year, which leaves his house basically frozen solid. Johnny catches on pretty quick and kicks Eddy out.
We're onto your stick, Eddy. Mr. Snowflake had you figured from the get-go. You're nothing but a greedy Pete trying to steal our Christmas.
Rolf, who is hanging meat on his house as if it were decorations, is Eddy's next target. He convinces Rolf to let him stay and celebrate, and Rolf takes Eddy inside. We then learn that in Rolf's family, they await the coming of Yeshmayek, who lives in the center of the earth and prepares a holiday feast for good boys and girls.
Yeshmayek peels the root and grinds the sausage with their foot. Yeshmayek cures the meat and stuffs the fruit and sugar cake. Yeshmayek salts the pork and stabs it with her silver fork. Yeshmayek cuts the cheese and gives a loaf of bread a squeeze.
Eddy asks Rolf when they open presents, to which Rolf responds, "What presents?" Eddy then leaves at the realization that Rolf's family doesn't do presents as part of their cultural tradition. Naz ends up being Eddy's next target, and it goes pretty well. She invites Eddy in automatically, offers him a present and some eggnog, but then she pulls out some mistletoe and causes Eddy to spit eggnog all over her, which causes him to get kicked out just as quick as he showed up. We then see the Kanker sisters still following the starlight beam of light, and on their journey they find an old piece of moldy bread, some sausages and pennies, and a fuzzy sweater? Cut back to Eddy, who chose Jimmy as his next target. Eddy offends Jimmy by eating his carefully made Christmas cookie village, so Jimmy calls Sarah, who beats Eddy's ass and throws him out of the house.
Jimmy? Where is he?
Just a couple of presents! It's Christmas, for Pete's sake!
Scrap!
And stay out.
Next up is Kevin. Eddy literally tries to break into his house, but Kevin stops him dead in his tracks and gives him a box, which contains a punch in the face. Having tried to steal the Christmas of every kid in the cul-de-sac unsuccessfully, Eddy wanders off on his own. He stumbles upon a lone Christmas tree in a field and notices that one light is burned out. He reaches in his pocket and realizes he has a spare bulb that he uses to replace the burned out one. Upon doing that, Double D and Ed appear to praise Eddy for giving selflessly. Eddy then realizes that Christmas isn't about getting presents, and it's actually about giving to others. All the other kids show up to gather around the tree, and for a brief moment, we see a touching moment of Eddy realizing what the true meaning of Christmas is. Then Santa flies over the cul-de-sac and drops a sack of presents for all the kids. Just then, Eddy goes back to his old selfish ways and steals the bag of presents and locks himself in Rolf's shed. Then Ed and Double D come in to save the day, which they do. All the presents are returned back to the kids who they were intended for, but just then, the three wise cankers come in.
See? Mold! I brought francs and cents! And fur!
Well, this image certainly has the Christmas spirit.
The episode ends with the cankers locking themselves in the shed with the Ed boys and forcing them to kiss them as the cankers usually do. Number 3, Fairly Oddparents Christmas Every Day. Fairly Oddparents was a fantastic cartoon brought to us from the mind of the brilliant animator Butch Hartman. This show came at a time that was just perfect in my opinion. When it debuted on Nickelodeon, it fit perfectly into their block of cartoons. The Christmas episode is one of my all-time favorites. It begins with Timmy Turner being upset that he has to spend Christmas Eve with Vicky, his evil babysitter. His parents finally come home from some last-minute shopping, and they toss Vicky right out of the house. Timmy is ecstatic that he gets to spend the whole day with his parents on Christmas instead of Vicky, of course. He wakes up early in the morning and races down the stairs with his parents to find a massive ocean of presents waiting for him. The whole day of Christmas flashes by in a montage with a very upbeat but also kind of sad song about how Timmy wishes every day could be Christmas so that he could spend every day with his parents and having fun. Cosmo and Wanda end up taking the song literally and grant his wish for it to be Christmas every day.
Well, he said, I wish.
I know. I just wish he didn't.
Timmy wakes up the next morning ecstatic to find that it's Christmas again, complete with more presents and a day with his mom and dad. A few days pass and Timmy wakes up on the 4th day of Christmas and his massive toy ocean is now a toy puddle because Santa is having trouble keeping up with making enough presents. By the 15th day, the whole world is in a fit because banks are closed, grocery stores are closed, and the whole world is basically shut down. The military and the government ends up doing everything they can to stop Santa from coming again.
Deploy the decoy chimney! Release the cookies and milk! Everybody pretend to be asleep!
Timmy tries to undo the wish, but Cosmo and Wanda are out of magic. Wanda explains that every year on Christmas Eve, the fairies gather in Fairy World to transfer all of their magic to Santa so that he can deliver presents, and the day after Christmas, all of their magic comes back again. But since it's Christmas every day, they never got their magic back. The other holiday mascots are super pissed that they don't get to bring joy to the world on their holidays anymore, so they kidnap Cosmo and Wanda with plans of taking Santa out once and for all. Meanwhile, Timmy ends up making his way to the North Pole on a snowmobile so that he can warn Santa and try to fix everything. Timmy's snowmobile ends up getting eaten by a shark in the ocean as he's entering the country of Greenland. So he disguises himself as a holiday mascot and hitches a ride with the other holiday mascots who just so happen to be in Greenland as well. Timmy concocts a scheme to get to the North Pole first to warn Santa. He makes it there first, but not with enough time to warn Santa properly, and all the other holidays show up to fight Santa. A huge battle breaks out, and Santa is nearly defeated. But all the kids from around the world show up to help Timmy. The other holidays back down, and Timmy realizes that the only way to fix the situation is for every kid in the world to ask Santa to make it so it wasn't Christmas every day. After they all write a letter to Santa asking for it to not be Christmas every day, the world goes back to normal, and everything ends on a happy note. The fairies even add a new rule to the rule book due to Timmy's irresponsible wish. Number 2, Arnolds Christmas. Hey Arnold is an iconic Nicktoon if I have ever seen one. It's a show that has a charming way of teaching a valuable life lesson in nearly every episode. I recently made a video covering the top 5 most iconic episodes of Hey Arnold. I'll put it in a link at the end of this video so you can watch it after this one. The Christmas episode was originally planned to be a part of that video, but I thought it would do a lot better in this video as it specifically is geared towards Christmas episodes. And boy does this episode tug right at your heartstrings. The episode begins with school getting let out for Christmas break. Helga and Phoebe are having a conversation about Christmas and how all Helga cares about is the presents. Then they see a display for Nancy Spumoni's signature snow boots, which is the one thing that Helga wants more than anything else. But Rhonda goes out of her way to say that they are nearly sold out everywhere and they are really hard to find.
I gotta have them! I just gotta have them! You and every other girl in the city, Helga. The stores are practically sold out. There just aren't enough for everybody. Don't get my boots, Rhonda Lloyd.
We then cut to the boarding house where everyone's picking out their secret Santa. Arnold gets Mr. Wynn, but he's really stumped because he doesn't know what to get for him. Arnold ends up talking to Mr. Wynn to hopefully get some clues as to what he could possibly get him for Christmas. Mr. Wynn tells Arnold an absolutely heartbreaking story of how he used to live in a different country many years ago. He was a single dad with a young daughter named Mai. His daughter was his whole world, and he used to dream of the future that they would have together. But there was a really violent war being fought to the north, and the fighting was getting closer to them with each day that had passed. Mr. Wynn didn't know how much longer he could keep his daughter safe, so one day he and many more innocent people from his country had reached an American helicopter and were begging to be saved from their war-torn country. But the American soldiers only had room for one more person on their chopper. Mr. Wynn ended up handing over his baby with hopes that she could have a better life in America. As the chopper flew away, the soldier yelled the name of the city of which they were going to, which Mr. Wynn ended up moving to. Sadly, it took about 20 years before he could make it out of his home country. Ever since, he has wished that he could be reunited with his daughter again. Mr. Wynn wants more than anything to see his daughter and make sure that she's living a happy life. Arnold ends up going on a hunt for Mai, which leads him to the Federal Office of Information. He finds a guy working there named Mr. Bailey and asks him for help finding Mai. Mr. Bailey agrees as long as Arnold and Gerald do his Christmas shopping for him, since it's the day before Christmas and he hasn't done any of his shopping yet. The shopping goes successfully, except for one item on the list, a pair of Nancy Spumoni snow boots. Arnold gets laughed out of every shoe store in town because they've all been sold out of the boots for a month now. Arnold and Gerald go back to Mr. Bailey, but since they didn't get that one item on the list, he refuses to help them.
What you did? Well, that's what Christmas is all about, Arnold. Thanks, Gerald. Just wish I could have put Mr. Wynn and his daughter together for Christmas.
Helga, having overheard the whole situation, goes home and her mom lets her open an early Christmas present, which just so happens to be a pair of the Nancy Spumoni snow boots. Helga gets faced with the moral dilemma of keeping the one present she wanted or giving them to Arnold to help him reunite Mr. Wynn with his daughter. Helga makes the choice to go right to Mr. Bailey's office herself as he's locking up for the night, and she begs him to help her find Mai in exchange for the boots. At first, Mr. Bailey doesn't want to, but after having found the true meaning of Christmas, Helga gives him a heartfelt speech about how Christmas isn't about presents, but it's about helping others and making Christmas miracles come true. We then cut to the next morning when everyone in the boarding house is opening their Secret Santa gifts.
I'm going to open my Christmas present now! Everybody look, what can it be? Coal? It looks like a bag of coal! Who would give me a bag of coal on Christmas?
Wasn't me.
Everyone starts wondering why Mr. Wynn doesn't have a present, and just when Arnold gets up to explain what had happened, the doorbell rings. And who's at the door? None other than Mr. Wynn's daughter, Mai. They are reunited in a moment that is strong enough to bring a tear to your eye. The episode ends with Helga standing selflessly outside of the house, whispering,
Merry Christmas, Arnold.
Number 1, the SpongeBob Christmas Special. Christmas who? After that heavy last episode, I figured I would end this list on a more lighthearted note. One of my all-time favorite Christmas episodes of any show ever. The SpongeBob Christmas Special is the one Christmas episode I remember watching more than any other episode when I was a kid. The episode begins with Patchy the Pirate, the president of the SpongeBob fan club, explaining that he's going to tell the story of the first ever Christmas in Bikini Bottom.
Potty! They don't mean cookie dough!
Squelch!
The story starts with SpongeBob saying that he's going to surprise attack Sandy with a new karate move that he learned. When he goes down to her tree dome, he sees her plugging in Christmas lights on her tree, which he mistakes for a fire, so he rushes in with a bucket of water to put out the fire. Sandy, having been drenched with water, explains that it's a Christmas tree, and she learns that SpongeBob has never heard of Christmas before.
I can't believe y'all haven't heard about Christmas.
Tell me more about this Christmas.
SpongeBob sits by, listening intently as Sandy tells the tale of Christmas and Santa Claus. Being super excited by the idea of Christmas, SpongeBob goes out and spreads the word to everyone he knows. SpongeBob and his friends end up sitting in the Krusty Krab while they write letters to Santa.
Dear Santa. Oh, not again.
SpongeBob's wish is that Santa will come and visit the gentle folk of Bikini Bottom. He uses a machine he created to fire bottles to the surface to send everyone's letters to Santa. Mr. Krabs wants a pony with saddlebags full of money, Patrick wants a new piece of paper, and Squidward's wish, well...
What's your wish?
My wish is that the people of Bikini Bottom will stop paying any attention to the inane dribble that is constantly streaming out of this dunderhead's mouth.
Gee, Squidward, maybe Santa will bring me a dictionary so I can understand what you just said.
The whole town then works to decorate for Santa's arrival, much to Squidward's dismay. They even break out in a wonderful Christmas song that I swear gets stuck in my head every time I hear it. As SpongeBob is finished writing the last letter to Santa, he realizes that Squidward didn't write a letter to Santa, so he rushes over to help him write the letter. Squidward, being a real Grinch, refuses to write one and tells the whole town that they're being fooled by SpongeBob. Everyone, except for Squidward, stays up all night waiting for Santa to arrive, but when he never shows up, the whole town loses their spirit and rains on SpongeBob's parade. Squidward wakes up in the morning and makes a total ass of himself making fun of SpongeBob for believing in Santa Claus.
This Christmas feels like the very first Christmas. The first Christmas is this Christmas, cause it feels like...
Then, SpongeBob gives Squidward a present that he made for him so Squidward wouldn't feel left out when Santa came. Squidward opens the gift to find a beautiful hand-carved clarinet made from driftwood. He then feels like an absolute ass for making fun of SpongeBob. So to make up for it, Squidward dresses up as Santa Claus, making SpongeBob's wish come true. But of course, since he made one person's wish come true, he has to make everyone's wish come true as well. By the end of it, Squidward gives away all of his worldly possessions just to make SpongeBob happy. The episode ends with the real Santa Claus flying over Bikini Bottom and thanking Squidward for making SpongeBob so happy. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos. On screen now, you'll see some of my videos that you should totally watch. Go ahead and find me on Twitter at DuskTillSean9, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!